When I was a kid, I just remember hearing about Raja Ampat, and not just from below water, but on top is such an incredible view. Like the topography is amazing. It really doesn't make sense. It's just deep walls and like these volcanic islands coming out of nowhere. Absolutely glorious. So being here is quite magical. Yeah, it's just so surreal for me to be at this spot right here, right now, that I have been looking forward to since I was a child. And to be here on my own 2 vessels is, wow, like right out of a storybook for me. And I think sometimes you have to take a step back and appreciate where you are, look behind you, look at the road that has brought you here, and just be in awe of it. And appreciate the steps and the movements that you've done in your life to get you along the path. Even if they were subliminal things that took you there, like, it's just amazing. So I would love to go back in time and talk to little Nate and be like, brah, you did it. You're at that magical spot that you always wanted to come to. I've seen manta rays, which are 3 meters across. I've seen pygmy seahorses, which are as small as a grain of rice. I've seen bumphead parrotfish in huge schools. I've seen amazing things. All the things that I have hoped to have seen here in Raja Ampat thus far, I have seen, except for a dugong. Ooh, I hope that I see that still. But I'm going to try to be real with these vlogs in this area, because if this is the last frontier, like the greatest hope for humanity in the ocean, I want to show the truth. And we happen to be here during a coral bleaching. The water has been over 40 degrees Celsius for apparently about a month, and it usually doesn't get like that, not for very long. But it's coming down a little bit, but there's been pretty big coral bleaching. So far, I've seen, white coral, but I've also haven't seen a lot of it that has algae growing on it. As if it's just white, there's an okay chance that it might come back. It's when you start to see the algae growing on top of the white coral bleach, that means it's dead. I've seen some of that. In fact, I've seen big fields of that, but overall, when you just see a white coral head, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone. I don't like to be doom and gloom. I'm always a guy that's like, hey, it's, be positive. There's so much down here to save and to be excited for and to protect, and all of which is true. But I want to show the reality. I also want to show the amount of plastic pollution trash that we have encountered here in the last frontier of diving. It's not pretty. And it comes in currents and waves. Now, it's not everywhere, and I haven't seen much of it underwater, but I've seen a lot of it floating on the surface. There's 2 things I'm pretty excited about. There's Masul Eco Resort is done a great job at coordinating dives. You actually have to go through and book your dives with them, and they give you a time slot, and you have 1 hour to get in and out, and they make sure that not too many divers are on any particular dive site in a day. Sometimes they close up dive sites for a couple days or even a week, and they do that to give fish life and mantas, everything, just a little bit of breathing room. And there's also Raja Ampat Marine Authority. So this whole thing's a marine park. So it's the Marine Park Authority is really doing due diligence to make sure that people are not anchoring in the wrong areas or anchoring too shallow. So they're pretty on top of it here. And there's marine park fees that I hope are going to the right things. But they're really diligent. They're going around. They're making sure that nobody's fishing in the wrong areas. They're making sure people are anchoring. There's also there's a shark rewilding program that's happening. So in this area, they used to have zebra sharks or leopard sharks, which are one of my favorites. Supposedly, if you talk to the elders, they remember seeing them in their childhood, but nobody that is young has ever seen a leopard shark. These guys are trying to bring them back, and so they've made a hatchery, and we're going to go check that out and really get the scoop on what their program entails and how they hope to reintroduce those to the wild. Anyway, I'm going to continue to explore this place. The fact that we have, I think we're going to be here in 6 weeks total, is incredible for me. You know, the best kind of timeline is no timeline at all, nowhere to be. So, excited to show you guys this beautiful place known as Raja Ampat. It's tight. We only have 2 anchorages that we knew of, and neither of them are real anchorages. They're super deep, and then these guys have the only spot that we were hoping we could go to. So it's not going to work, especially not for 2 boats. So we have a dinghy with a hand depth sounder. We're going to go around and check depths to try our best to find where it levels off. Anchoring in Raja Ampat is notoriously hard, and I knew it was going to be, and it is just as the rumor said it was going to be. But we're hoping that we can find nothing more than maybe 30, 35 that is just a shelf and not just like a sloping sand wall. Because what can happen if you anchor there and your anchor just kind of drifts down, all of a sudden it's just dangling and hanging and you drift off. So pretty precarious, I would say.
I'm not flying up to any of that shit. There's a couple of like flimsy little lines, but also when you're in the middle you need like 80 meters fore and aft of the boat, so it's so much line coming out. What are you doing? 44 meters.
This right here, guys, is probably the most stressful part about boat life, is just trying to figure out where you're going to park your house for the night or for the week, and feeling comfortable that if you were to go away for a minute, that your house would still be there. And if you want to get a good night's sleep, there's no worse feeling than just knowing that you're already in a precarious position. Every creak or rattle, you're up all night. So it's really important that you feel comfortable where you anchor. So when the maps tend to be wrong, and they are often, it can make that an uncomfortable position to be in. Both ourselves and Parlay Revival decided to re-anchor, and it was quite the little circus show, but that's just all part of it. That's part of the show. So we're at Pianamo, which is going to be amazing diving. I can't say it right. I'm just going to kill it. That's okay. We're here. We're ganging up with Parlay Revival, beautiful YouTube channel. Been talking with Colin for years, and it's good to finally like meet him face to face. We're going to go take his crew scuba diving. We're going to go do a little bit of adventures. The first adventure was certainly anchoring, but we found ourselves a big lump of sand or something at 26 meters, which for here is pretty shallow. So hopefully we hold through the night, and let's go adventure. Let's go have fun. Every once in a while, we run into some pretty amazing cruisers out there. And I've got to say that these guys are definitely our kind of pirates. Colin bought a hurricane-damaged boat from Irma, took his fans along for the ride as he restored her and brought Parlay back to life, literally reviving her and stealing her back from the sea. We've spoken many times over the years, as some of our beautiful crew have gone on to join Parlay for small stints, as well as I'm going to poke at Colin and say that he lost to Amy at last year's International Cruiser Awards, and he had to present the award. If you're keen to have a peek, be sure to check them out on YouTube. It's a beautiful morning. Wow. So just getting up, Parlay Revival is parked just right behind us. It's good to always have friends out here in the middle of nowhere. We are going to go for a scuba dive together, which I'm really excited about. Love sharing what we do as well. So we're going to take their whole crew and drop both dinghies and use our gear and go to a really beautiful site called Melissa's Garden. I can't wait. It's supposed to be one of the best here in the area. So all the crews are slowly getting up. Girls are having a little morning session. And let's go. So let's go.
Looks at the regulator and here goes.
Really fun to take the crew of Parlay Revival out on a dive. Not just any dive, but Melissa's Gardens, which honestly has got to be one of the most spectacular dives I've ever seen. And that says a lot. The coral was spectacular. It was flawless. And you don't see that often these days. I must admit that even here in Raja Ampat, there's been quite a bit of coral bleaching, the worst they've had in decades. We've just come out of a really warm year, and it's affecting here. The Marine Park Authority have been asking us for photos and videos because they're quite concerned about it, which I love to see that they're quite involved in it. But that doesn't mean that when you see something that is worth saving or that is just awe-inspiring, that you shouldn't take a moment and say and shout it from the rooftops. There's definitely stuff here worth talking about, worth saving, and worth putting a magnifying glass on. Really cool for us to be able to facilitate that for them and show Colin what I'm known for, what our crew's known for. What we do best is filming underwater and taking people diving. So that was really cool to share that with him. So we've been hanging out with them for a couple of days, kind of buddy boating, and I'm really stoked to finally meet those legends in person. I've been talking with Colin especially for a couple of years. We've had some crew intermixing over the years, and so we've definitely talked about that and gotten captain's recommendations on crew. And from there, just because we're cruising in the same areas, we've been giving each other a lot of information about checking in to Indonesia, checking out, good anchorages, any information you can find, which I must say is something maybe a lot of people might not know about the sailing community, is that, man, we really feel like you're just alone out here by yourself. But there's plenty of forums and good ways to get interconnected to other sailors. There is my friends, the Vagabonds. They just made a new app called SeaPeople, which you can actually see other sailors on the map and communicate and do hails and set events and even track where you're going. And it's kind of like a social media for boats, if you will. And there's one called No Foreign Lands, which Colin actually told me about. And that is a map that shows you where good anchorages are. And that one's more advice for sailors. And it's good because it's community driven. Between that, lots of Facebook groups and different ways that you can get connected into different areas, which is what you need out here. Like, who's safe? Where do I get fuel? Where do I get anything? Who's the harbor master? This all happens from this new way of communicating. You imagine this back in the day. Like, we have Starlink now. We live in the future. Can you imagine showing up to a place like this back in the day and just feeling quite lost? So it does feel good to give and get advice across the board, keep each other safe and sound. So like this anchorage we're in right now, we finally found a good spot, and it's because it was on the map, set by other sailors. I can tell we're going to be mates, and we might see each other in the Philippines. Good vibes by all, and I really stoked and sad to say goodbye to them. So, but we'll see them on the next horizon, and maybe we'll see you out there someday as well.